That would be one of the best experiences of your life. Now, what's interesting is that the actual pain of running the marathon isn't any different. The only thing that's changed is the context. And what I argue in this chapter is that what has actually changed is the perception that you chose to run the marathon or not. For whatever reason, when we feel as though we are choosing our struggles or we are choosing what problems we have in our life, they seem much more acceptable and easier for us to deal with. When we feel as though our problems and our struggles are thrust upon us without our control, that's when we suffer. That's when we feel completely powerless. The big kind of epiphany of this chapter is that you are always choosing, whether you realize it or not. There's no such thing as a situation where you are not choosing your struggle or not choosing your problem. The only thing that changes is whether you admit it to yourself or not. People don't like hearing this point. They don't like hearing the idea that every problem in their life, they chose it. And the second section of this chapter, the reason why is I point out that we tend to conflate responsibility and fault. We assume that if you are responsible for something, it means that it's your fault. But these are two completely different things. You know, it's like if I get cancer, it's not my fault that I got cancer, but it is absolutely my responsibility to deal with the cancer. You know, if somebody leaves a newborn baby on my doorstep, that's not my fault that somebody left it there, but it is absolutely my responsibility. I have to do something about it. And every moment of life is this way. Even if the mob boss kidnaps your family, makes you run a marathon, you are choosing to run the marathon. You are choosing for the lives of the people you care about to be more important than the pain of the marathon. The thing you are choosing from moment to moment is how to value each experience. So even if let's say I go to a baseball game and I'm bored to tears, I'm choosing to be bored. Why? Because I'm choosing not to be interested in the baseball game. Sure, I could sit there and blame the baseball game like, oh, you're so fucking boring. Why don't you entertain me more? Well, why don't I change my definition of entertainment? Why don't I change what I find interesting? Why don't I develop the ability to pay more attention or appreciate the subtleties of throwing a curveball or something? In each experience in life, there is a component of choice embedded in it. And we tend not to be aware of that choice, but as soon as we become aware of it, two things happen. One, we become way more comfortable with pain. And two, we actually get off our ass and fucking do something. Because now we don't care whose fault it is anymore.